Nintendo didn't win a lot of fans with their 2015 E3 show. Apart from Federation Force and Mario Tennis, Amiibo Festival has been received very poorly. The Animal Crossing spin-off is probably more deserving of being hated than Metroid Prime Federation Force, which objectively looks like it could be an okay multiplayer spin-off in the footsteps of Four Swords, even if it isn't what Metroid Prime fans felt they were entitled to. The concept and execution of Amiibo Festival are where a lot of people have fundamental flaws with the game. Specifically, the game is free to download, but requires an amiibo for every player you must scan at least once every turn, passing around the gamepad constantly, and gameplay that boils down to try to land on a happy space, not on sad spaces. Okay, now watch cutscenes and get or lose random happy points and bells depending on if it was a happy or sad space. At the end of a month, or 30-some turns, the player who chose to land on the most happy spaces possible wins. Between this, there are no minigames. The closest is a fortune-telling event where you pick a random card that dooms you or blesses you for several turns. People don't like that to play you must buy new $12 to $15 statuettes, or that the game seems so bare bones and simplistic, removing much of the skill and strategy in other party games like Mario Party, going so far as to capitalize on the one most hated aspect of Mario Party, luck. Not to mention, every time you say happy points or happy spaces, you sound like you're in a cult. Another gripe is that the Villager amiibo won't work, or wouldn't have worked, because that's a change I could see Nintendo hastily making after the less than positive reaction to the reveal the Villager amiibo doesn't count as an Animal Crossing amiibo. All of these objections stand pretty well. Only a new set of 8 amiibos will work with the game, so it isn't like you can have a compatible amiibo lying around. You have to go out and purchase one new amiibo at least. The gameplay is so simplistic, children would probably really enjoy and understand it, and anyone older would find it boring, but it requires the ability to read a lot. The fact you have to pass the gamepad around and rescan every amiibo every minute or so is clunky and awkward, and the exclusion of the Villager was or is a mistake if they don't hastily rectify it. However, I've seen and heard people say the idea of an Amiibo Party game is a terrible one, and I have to disagree. This one was just done terribly. A Nintendo party game could have made a better party game, and they could have still made the Animal Crossing amiibos and maps. A game where all or nearly all amiibos are compatible. So if you have a Kirby and Bowser amiibo, and you have a friend with a Pikachu and Sonic amiibo, and another friend with a Shovel Knight, and a third friend who has Shulk and Lucina, everybody brings their own amiibo, and you work out who you will be from that pool. You scan them for each game, and then set them safely aside for the remainder of the game. So the cost is split amongst your group of friends. If they want to drive amiibo sales further, have a board tied to almost every character's amiibo with the exceptions like Smash Bros. Mario, and the other variations wouldn't need different boards. You scan an amiibo once and you can use their board forever on that console. So it boils down to somebody in your group of friends needs to buy a new amiibo for a new map, or you need to befriend more people with new amiibos. Having a huge pool of amiibo of all different sorts that people already happen to own would improve the concept massively. You'll probably already own the amiibos you will most want content from, and it might encourage you to buy others you want that will have compatibility for other games. I could see myself thinking, oh man, I want to play on Dr. Mario's board. I wonder how nostalgic Rob's is. I need a Wind Waker and Shovel Knight board in my life. Or, I bet Chibi Robos is adorable and tiny. There are all sorts of gameplay that could be simple enough for a child or grandma, as well as not require the ability to read or be simplistic and devoid of any sort of strategy or skill. Rebuff Mario Party and have a MacGuffin you travel around trying to get. Go more along the lines of Monopoly, where you just try to amass the biggest total of money or points in a given period. Or how about having a number of locations across the map, maybe stamp stations, and your goal is to be the first to reach all of the stamp stations and get your cards stamped, and in between turns you have mini-games of some sort. Not necessarily as deep or expensive as Mario Party, since you'd be looking at nearly 100 potential characters before long. Like, I could see 1 versus 3 being done away with. Maybe just mostly games that can be played free-for-all with any number, and a few for teams of 2. Maybe each amiibo could also have a signature minigame it unlocks, in addition to the base set of minigames. I'd imagine each minigame would look more like these, where the models aren't doing crazy stuff that would cost a ton of money, or use simple icons that wouldn't eat away at 30 times the amount of money they could possibly make, because Nintendo is a business, remember. Plus, some characters might be impossible for some games. There's a reason Bowser was never a partygoer. He's kind of big and all the characters in Mario Party had to play exactly the same, and he's oddly built. He'd look ridiculous in some minigames. Even Yoshi sometimes looked silly. They could also have some different types of characters though, like heavy and light, and have these classes have some differences. There's so many ways you could have made a better game with this concept. I'm all for Nintendo using the Amiibos to do away with Mario spin-offs. How about Nintendo Tennis, Nintendo Golf, or Nintendo Soccer? It suddenly appeals to everybody who likes a Nintendo property. You make those free, Amiibo-based games and perhaps release additional paid DLC, and I don't think anyone could object. Can you guys think of anything else that could have made this concept awesome?